Sorry, I don't know what happened there. There's an island over there, and basically the ducks can't get in there. Sometimes they'll sit on the outskirts of the chicken wire there and just dream of all those succulents in there they can get into. But anyway, I will do a post pretty much bullet pointing ducks and gardening from a horticulturist perspective, and also someone who's now studying ornithology and natural animal medicine. But yeah, so I want to quickly just bring up Catherine here. So Catherine, alright, so I've been noticing when I first got Catherine and Flint Fireforge around 3 months ago, they arrived to me supposedly around 3 months of age. They could be older and just stunted, and you can't trust people these days, especially in the state they arrived to me in. Get my English right. And what I would notice is there was a lot of yawning. Now, ducks will open their bills, their beaks, and stretch out. That's normal. But when they're doing it every day, and a lot, especially first thing in the morning and at night, but a lot of it, it can be an indicator of having, basically, in layman's term or common terms, gapeworm. Oh, nookies, ooga boogers, oh, Suna, oh. Ooga booga ducks. Boys. Kitty cat. But anyway, look at this, he's trying to protect his. I was noticing there was a lot of yawning, and the ducks were in such a weak state. Now, remember how in the last vlog I brought up the fact that if you feed your ducks or chooks and or both out in the open, how do you know they're getting all their feed and the wild birds and animals aren't eating it? Especially when your back is turned and you're not watching. In my case, my animals were hardly getting any of the food, and all the sparrows were bloody eating it. And you saw the blackbird go over there when I moved the feed, but it's hiding underneath a pan until later on in the afternoon, when I will basically ask my ducks to go into their run, and I'll give them some noodle treats to go in that trough there with some vitamins and minerals for them, and then I'll give them the rest of that feed to finish off. But basically I was noticing a lot of yawning. My ducks were in a very weakened state. The two newbies, the two apple yards, she was limping pretty much on arrival to me. I didn't really notice so until the next day when, she wasn't lying down sort of thing from the trip at night, because they came to me late in the afternoon and basically it was close to bedtime. And the next day I'm like, why is she limping? Like, she's got a peg leg. And this poor boy could hardly walk he was shaking as he was walking. And he literally couldn't stand on one leg and stretch without collapsing to the ground. So they were obviously quite weak. Now, if you have wildlife consuming all their food, they're obviously not getting the vitamins they need for growth and strength. Now, if you have so many animals and birds that you can't personally keep a check on them and know what's going on, then how are you even going to know that they're getting all their feed or not? You're not around. You got your attention split with too many things. And this individual who I got these from, she's got horses, she's got chooks, she's got everything. I mean, I've got a lot too, but I mean talking like hundreds of everything, And it's like, she wouldn't have even known if these animals were getting all their feed or not. And they have open runs. They're not chicken wired off like this. So, the ducks are pretty much fending for themselves to get all their food. And you have some younger ones, or you have some more docile ones. They have different personalities. Some are a bit more timid. Little Luca here, she's quite dainty. She's like a little ballerina. The timid ones will tend to be pushed out a little bit, and the other ones will get their food. boys are a little bit different though. The boys are so sweet. They will literally stand there and wait until the girls get their food and then they'll eat. Sometimes I worry my boys don't get enough because they're so chivalrous. But anyway, so there's that aspect of the feed. But then also if there's wild birds getting into their habitat, because it's not wide off like this, there's no barriers for most of the day. Obviously, as an example, my birds here, they will interact with wildlife to some degree, but when it comes to eating their feed and that, they're closed off in there, so the wildlife doesn't really have an incentive to get up and close to them to share their food, which is where I think a lot of transference of things, worms and stuff will happen. Also droppings, and they can also get them from worms themselves in the ground, earthworms and slugs and bugs. Gentle, one at a time, boys. Frigg, let your brother have a go. You get your beak out of her privates. Hey! No! Mr. Frigg! He'll put his little beak in her privates when she's being ridden. Mr. Frigg! Don't make me put you in the naughty square. You okay, honey? Oh! Sorry, Fawn. He's good, generally, but every now and again he's just a cheeky little bastard. Aren't you, puppy? I love you, but my goodness. You okay, darling? Mr. Frigg. You let your brother have a go. It's probably part of the reason why he's so crazy sometimes. He's worried that you're going to take his surfing away. Huh? Hey? We know you're the alpha. Just chill out a little bit. Yeah. Bella grunting there, that she wasn't like in pain or anything. She does that sometimes when she's being served. Bella just had to intervene because Frigg had his beak in her private parts as Fawn was trying to ride her, and it was like spring and boys, man. But anyway, so my battery's slashing. Long and short of it, I have been worming everybody for the past week now with flubanol. I'll get into a separate post at some point on worming, what worming protocol I use and what I use to worm. I use both natural and non-natural methods of worming. I use both. I believe in integrating natural and non-natural medicine, and I believe in an integrated approach on the whole. But basically we're on day 6 now, and she's a lot better. I think there's a combination of these two not getting enough food, nutrition, and of course if they have worms of any type, then that's going to affect their nutrition also. If they have injuries and they're not getting the nutrition they need, their healing is going to be limited. And basically the gapeworm is kind of a shitty one because it sits in their trachea, in their throat, and it can also be impact and affect the ability of their crop, i.e. their food boob. And as you can imagine, they're not really going to want to do a lot in regards to feeding and eating, which is kind of a downward spiral if they've got bloody gapeworms in their throat affecting their, signs of it is a lot of abnormal stretching, like they're yawning excessively. Chickens are the same. Also shaking their head as if trying to shake something out of their ears. I'm not talking about the occasional head shake. I'm talking like frequent throughout the day, like especially around eating or at night or in the morning. And if they're weak as well, I mean, there's other factors involved in that, but all that together, and then also not knowing their history, not knowing if there's good biosecurity measures kept in their previous, with their previous owner, then it's not going to hurt for you to worm them as if they already have the worm. So preventative worming is a different dosage to worming when you have an infestation of any type. You can actually get a worming count done to make sure you don't overworm your ducks, but in my heart of hearts, in my gut, I do think that we're infested with worms. Just all these indicators especially around the neck, the trachea, gapeworm. And I do have a history of it with my chooks from when the sparrows were going into their run. They got it from the sparrows. Not anymore, but that's when they got it. So anyway, blessed be my heart. That's it from this post. Thought I'd do an update. We got 2 more days of Flubenor. It's not meant for waterfowl or ducks. It's meant for chooks and pigs. Careful, Fred. Don't walk on the Kit Kat. Yeah, careful. Good girl. However, the way I administer it is a little bit different. Obviously, mixing Flubenor in a dry feed of ducks is really not going to work, because the way they like to eat is, if they're dry feed, they'll make it muddy and mushy. So I will, when I do a post on worming and what I use and why and how much, also you're going to want to know the weight of your birds to worm them, because how much you use of anything, even medication, if something goes awry, is actually calculated to their body weight. So I'll do a separate post on that. But day 5 or day 6, sorry, poor Catherine here, she was actually struggling to drink water even. So for me, I just felt like she must have had the buggers in her throat badly. So after Sunday or after tomorrow here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're a day ahead of everyone up in the north. Our Saturday is your Friday. I will stop the treatment, give it 3 weeks, and then roll out and have a bout. And then in 3 months I'll do the same thing, and then come autumn, winter, especially when they stop laying eggs, that's when I'll repeat seasonal. So I'll do the seasonal preventative quantity of worming, especially for gapeworm, Flubenor. Freya loves eating flies, man. She puts Mr. Miyagi to shame. I love it in summer. You'll see her like literally coasting her head on the top of the straw, trying to wait patiently for a fly to drop, and she'll go grab him like a frog, a feathered frog. But anyway, so today is the first day I have seen Catherine actually putting her head in the water to drink. I have been hand feeding her water, and kind of forcibly too. She doesn't know how to drink out of my hand as a cup. I literally have to pour it. So, and it's the first day I've seen her eat dry feed. First day in at least a week and a half, which is good. She needs that dry feed. She can't just have the soft stuff I've been giving her, which is noodles with minerals and that in it. So very good for Catherine. By the end of next week, I want to finalise who and where and when we get that final little bit of bumblefoot removed. I've removed most of it naturally with soaks, but there's a stubborn little hard plug which is not going. We need to get rid of that, and then we need to most likely get x-rays to look at everything else that's going on and see what the dealio is. Could have just been malnutrition and worms combined with bumblefoot staph infection plugs throughout their flippers. The boy had it on both flippers. She had it on both flippers. The one that she has now left is only about a quarter of the size. It literally covered her entire foot pad, not the toes, but the entire foot pad. That's massive. It's like, almost like a dollar coin, Australian dollar coin in size. But now there's like a little tiny, hard little cone black scab, which is hard, but I had a feel around of the pad itself, and I can't feel any like rubber or plasticky bits in the actual foot pad itself. So I don't actually think there's any loose pus, hardened pus in there to remove, to be honest with you. It's just that last little bit plug which is causing discomfort. She did a few little hobbles today.